I have officially achieved the craziest documented 1-year weight loss transformation journey on the internet. I managed to lose 153 pounds in 1 year while retaining all of my muscle and generating very little loose skin. And if you don't believe me, check out these absolute legends with their reaction.
Wow, dude.
That's so fast. It was August 9th last year.
What? That's insane.
Yeah, of last year.
That's incredible, man.
Thank you.
That's a lot of discipline, dude. That almost sounds dangerous in a way.
And today, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it and how you could do it for yourself. Chapter 1. Come up with a plan. The first part of this plan was to find a very intense accountability metric. In my case, it was to post an update of my weight on Instagram every single day. See, I've always had this crippling need for social acceptance, which has been a crutch for most situations in my life. So for the first time in my life, I knew that I was going to be able to use Instagram and not Instagram using me. So mixing my crippling anxiety of public failure and having people calling me out on it and my affinity to content creation, this was a no-brainer. And my one simple rule was that I was not going to go to bed without posting once daily. But see, weight loss is completely individual. And you have to realize that we all have access to different resources and different skill sets. So write it down, figure out what you're good at, and set up your own accountability metrics. Chapter 2, set smart goals. Setting smart goals is the only way to track success in anything in life. So this means that your goals have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's break down my goal. Specific, I was giving myself 365 days to lose 100 pounds. Measurable, I was going to use the metric of weight to measure my success. Achievable, I had lost 100 pounds in 7 months in 2012, so I knew that I could do it again. Relevant, and here's where you really have to think. Why are you setting this goal in the first place? What's your whole why thing? In my case, it was that my Crohn's was deteriorating very quickly and the fact that I had 11 surgeries during a 7-month hospital stay, which means I was potentially only a few days away from having some serious health complications. And time-bound, I had 1 year to do it, even though I changed it later to 6 months. But now we're going to combine this again with my need for social acceptance and something all of us fatties usually lack, which is long-term motivation. And that's when I introduce the until XYZ person follows me.
Now, I'm gonna be tagging Will Tennyson every single day until he follows me. Everybody to go in the comments and tag @GregDoucette. He needs to see this.
Which paid back dividends incredibly quickly when Will Tennyson sent me the message that when I completed my goal, he would film a video with me. Talk about adding to my why. So you hear me talking about this all the time, but don't wait till Monday, start right now. Don't have to turn your life upside down by only eating chicken and egg noodles. Start a Google Doc or a piece of paper and a pen and write down your goals, because just that is you starting. Chapter 3, win every single day. Some people like to journal things that they are grateful for. So I decided I wanted to write down an entire set of goals that I wanted to reach within that 1 year period. And some of these were big, like let's say doing my first unassisted pull-up, to much smaller and easier ones like not being out of breath when turning around in bed. Or even more simple, like doing my first and then eventually my 10th and then my 100th cardio session. So here's just a bunch of wins that I had written down on my list. So if you can potentially draw some inspiration from these, that would be incredible. So one was tying my shoes without sitting down, not needing a seat extender on a plane, not being out of breath when standing up in the morning, 20 minutes of walking without taking a break on the treadmill, shoot my shot with a brand, walking up 27 flights of stairs in one go without taking a break, telling one person about my journey, telling Instagram about my journey, and telling 100 people about my journey, seeing a new low on the scale during my daily weigh-ins. And this one's a pretty easy filler one, whether it's 0.1 or a whole pound down. Buying my first stringer shirt. I remember this one. And then wearing my first stringer shirt in public at the gym. And this was actually a huge one for me, and I remember how nervous I was the first time I wore a stringer like this at a gym, but how proud I was when I left the gym that day and the amount of compliments I received. And then buying my first bodybuilding Speedo trunks, and get Will Tennyson to wear Speedo trunks with me. And see, some of these goals are big and some of these are actually very small. Having that constant push, that constant drive. It's like having that little Xbox achievement sound popping up every time you do something good.
Congrats, man.
When you're super fat, motivation to lose the weight came really fast, but it left even faster. Because I had no discipline and I had no good habits that were formed yet. By having a ever-growing list of goals in place, you don't really have time for disappointment because you're achieving, or at least you're trying to achieve something great every single day until you build the discipline and the habits that just go along with it. Chapter 4, establishing a set of rules. And this one was very, very important because I set up 2 rules that I would follow religiously. And you've probably heard me talk about them. Number 1 being the rule of 2, which means to never let myself fail twice in a row. If I have a bad gym day, that's fine. Tomorrow I'm gonna kill it. If I missed a meal or maybe ate a little bit too much, tomorrow I'm going to be incredibly vigilant to be perfect on my diet. If I had a weak cardio where I couldn't get my heart rate up, the next day I would focus on that, and I would even sometimes put my phone down to make sure my heart rate would average where I wanted it to be. And there's a reason for this, and especially early during your journey, because everything in life becomes easier the more you do it. From learning a trade, to learning a new skill, to learning a new language. This can also be applied to good and bad behaviors. The first time you cheat, you're gonna feel like a sack of shit and like a failure. But if you do it again right after, you're gonna feel a little bit less bad about it until you don't feel bad at all. Then you're gonna form bad habits, but the reverse also applies. First time you do something incredibly hard, the next time you do that same thing, it's going to be a little bit easier until it becomes ritual. And my second rule was the 5-second rule. From the second I wake up, I would count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by the time I hit 1, I would make sure that I was doing something proactive, and I was getting up, I was getting out of bed, and I was heading towards my first cardio. Because the first thing in the morning you do not want to do generally is getting on a treadmill. Chapter 5, do as little as possible to yield the biggest results, aka be lazy. So you cannot possibly be morbidly obese and not be lazy in certain aspects of your life. And before attacking me for saying this, I want you to really think. Uber Eats or going to the groceries and buying your own foods and meal prepping? Watch a movie and play video games, or go to the gym? Keep doing exactly what you're doing with your life, or start doing some research to figure out how to improve your quality of life. See, and if even one of these circumstances over here seemed a little bit more attractive, well, sorry to break it to you, but you're lazy. And that's okay. See, in weight loss, if you go absolutely balls to the wall when you start, you are going to create some sort of unsustainable regimen that you cannot keep up, and eventually you will plateau and probably quit. Or you can do what I did, which is start with the littlest amount of cardio possible until progress slowed, and then I would increase. Start eating the most amount of food that I can until progress slow, and then slowly decrease. Start off by using no supplements other than my base ones of protein powder, creatine, and multivitamins. And then as progress slowed, that's when I introduced peptides. And slowly started training just once a day, and then slowly ended up at training 3 times a day with my 2 cardios. Do you get what I'm saying here? You want to be doing the littlest amount of work possible while still yielding the most results you can, until that is no longer enough, and then you slowly increase the amount of work that you are producing to yield the results again. But only increase the workload when you absolutely have to. And coming up to chapter 6, change your identity. See, you cannot achieve something like this without changing the person that you are. And these changes will most likely occur on their own as you start implementing some of these different aspects into your life. But you need to eat, sleep, and breathe your journey. See, I was telling absolutely every single person that I was meeting what I was doing, where I was in my journey, and what the point of my journey was as a whole, to mitigate them from perhaps exposing me to making bad choices, or just getting constant glowing feedback, helping with motivation. My circle of friends changed pretty quickly once I figured out who were the friends that didn't have my best interest in mind. So I stopped hanging around fast food places, I deleted my Uber Eats, and I started hanging out at groceries and enjoying looking at new veggies that I could try, or new sauces that low calories and that were healthy. And I started spending more time with my family and the relationship there because they actually wanted me to succeed. And I met Taylor and quickly realized that she only wanted the best for me. So, well, I kept her around. But all in, Simon now would probably not hang out with Simon from a year ago. And I think that that's a powerful statement to make. So looking back at this year of my life that I call the craziest transformation on the internet, yes, it may be because of the fact that I have this genetic freak factor physique that's obviously good for social media and Instagram, but it's so much more than that. In 1 year, yes, I did lose 153 pounds, but that is the smallest victory of them all. I put my Crohn's into full remission due to my weight loss and the peptides. I fixed my entire family dynamic, and we are now closer than ever. My health markers and my blood tests have never been this good. My mental health is in a place where I'm genuinely happy to wake up every single morning. I don't feel ashamed when I'm naked. And I think that's a big one that probably a lot of people could relate to or wish they could. I've inspired thousands to start their own weight loss journeys, which is absolutely insane to me. I'm currently building multiple fat loss programs like the 90-day challenge or the one-on-one coaching options that are on my website that will hopefully help me reach my big goal one day of being able to shed 1 million pounds of fat off the people that I work with. And lastly, for the first time in my life, I've taken into account that I know for a fact that I have a lot of work to do left on myself. I'm going to have some demons to fight after this. Even though I know I have a lot of work left to do on myself, I am genuinely excited for it. And that's a lot for 1 year. But now, it's your turn.